the Kardashian-Jenner clan has built an empire on carefully curated drama, but the latest blow-up between Kim and Khloé Kardashian has exposed raw, unfiltered tensions that even their expert PR team couldn't spin into Instagram-perfect content. What began as a supposedly wholesome family RV trip to Joshua Tree, conceived as a back-to-basics, bonding experience away from their usual luxuries, quickly devolved into one of the most explosive confrontations in recent Kardashian history, revealing deep-seated issues about parenting styles, family double standards, and the psychological toll of living under constant public scrutiny. The tension came to a head when Kim Kardashian, the family's de facto matriarch since Kourtney stepped back, spent nearly an hour FaceTiming her daughter North, who was vacationing in China with Kanye West and Kim's 3 other children. On its face, this appeared to be nothing more than a devoted mother checking in on her children, a relatable moment any parent would understand. However, the situation took on explosive significance when viewed through the lens of family history. This was the same Kim who had publicly chastised Khloé months earlier for daring to take a brief FaceTime call from her own children during a family dinner, labeling the behavior as disrespectful and disruptive to their together time. The hypocrisy was too glaring for Khloé to ignore, and what followed was a confrontation so intense it may have permanently altered the sisters' dynamic. Khloé's reaction was immediate and volcanic. Never one to suppress her emotions, especially when feeling wronged, she unleashed years of pent-up frustration in a blistering takedown that left the rest of the family stunned. "You're a two-faced mother," Khloé seethed, her voice trembling with barely contained rage. The accusation hung in the air like smoke after a detonation, exposing the unspoken tensions that had been simmering beneath their picture-perfect sisterly bond. Kim, typically the more composed of the two, found herself scrambling to justify what was clearly a double standard. Her defenses, that her children were overseas rather than at home with nannies, that she rarely gets time apart from them, that this was somehow different, rang hollow to Khloé, who saw through the excuses to the deeper issue, Kim's unspoken belief that her parenting choices should be above criticism while others are fair game. The fallout played out like a masterclass in reality television drama, but the implications ran far deeper than simple entertainment. Social media erupted into a battleground, with fans and critics alike dissecting every nuance of the conflict. Team Khloé supporters praised her for finally standing up to what they perceived as Kim's long-running pattern of hypocrisy and subtle dominance over the family hierarchy. They pointed to numerous instances where Kim seemed to hold others to standards she didn't apply to herself, from parenting choices to business decisions. Team Kim defenders, meanwhile, argued that the pressures of managing 4 children, multiple billion-dollar businesses, and a high-profile co-parenting relationship with Kanye West entitled her to some leniency. A third faction, comprised of longtime reality TV connoisseurs, celebrated the return of authentic, unvarnished Kardashian drama, the kind that made early seasons of Keeping Up with the Kardashians must-see television before the family became masters of image control. Beneath the surface-level drama about phone calls and parenting, however, this conflict exposed fundamental fractures in the Kardashian-Jenner family structure. Both Kim and Khloé are navigating the treacherous waters of single motherhood under the blinding spotlight of fame, but their approaches couldn't be more divergent. Kim, who has allowed her children extended international travel with Kanye despite their tumultuous history, operates with a philosophy that blends progressive co-parenting with what some interpret as emotional detachment, a possible byproduct of her relentless work ethic and the trauma of her Paris robbery. Khloé, by contrast, has adopted an intensely protective parenting style, keeping her children physically and emotionally close following the very public betrayals by Tristan Thompson and the painful dissolution of their relationship. These opposing approaches collided violently in the RV, revealing how differently each sister processes trauma and constructs safety for their children. The presence of Kris Jenner, the family's master strategist and emotional mediator, added another layer of complexity to the confrontation. Watching her 2 daughters tear into each other with such visceral intensity visibly rattled the usually unflappable momager. Her attempts to mediate, trotting out familiar refrains about family unity and the importance of supporting one another, fell flat in the face of such raw emotion. This wasn't the performative drama they'd manufactured for cameras over the years. This was real pain, real resentment, and real questions about fairness in a family where perceptions of favoritism have lingered for decades. Kris's inability to immediately defuse the situation spoke volumes about the depth of the conflict, For perhaps the first time, her famous crisis management skills seemed inadequate to the task at hand. As the dust settled in the episode's final moments, viewers were treated to rare glimpses of vulnerability from both women. Khloé, her anger spent, admitted she may have been too intense in her delivery, though she stood by the validity of her feelings. Kim, typically the picture of composed perfection, broke down while confessing how lost and overwhelmed she's felt since her divorce, how the constant judgment from the public, and apparently from her own family, has weighed on her. These moments of raw honesty were more revealing than any scripted confessional could ever be, offering audiences genuine insight into the psychological toll of maintaining their carefully constructed public personas. The implications of this feud extend far beyond a single explosive argument. It raises uncomfortable questions about the Kardashian family power structure. Why does Kim seem to operate by different rules? Is this a reflection of her status as the family's most successful member, or does it stem from deeper, unacknowledged dynamics dating back to their childhoods? The confrontation also highlights the impossible standards faced by famous mothers. Damned if they're too involved, damned if they're not involved enough, with every choice dissected by millions of strangers. Most poignantly, it reveals how even the closest siblings can grow apart when life takes them down divergent paths, especially when those paths are paved with trauma, betrayal, and unimaginable pressure. Industry insiders speculate this rift could have lasting consequences for both the family's personal relationships and their business empire. The Kardashian brand is built on the illusion of perfect sisterhood, a bond strong enough to withstand any challenge. This very public airing of grievances threatens that carefully cultivated image, potentially impacting everything from their Hulu deal to sponsorship agreements. More importantly, it suggests that years of unresolved conflicts may finally be boiling over, with Khloé no longer willing to play the role of agreeable little sister to Kim's de facto leadership. As fans continue to dissect every frame of the confrontation, larger cultural conversations have emerged about modern parenting, sibling rivalry in adulthood, and the psychological impact of growing up in the public eye. The sisters' differing approaches reflect broader societal debates about motherhood. Kim's hands-off moments criticized as neglectful, Khloé's protectiveness framed as overbearing, demonstrating how there's no perfect way to parent, especially under constant scrutiny. The argument also serves as a cautionary tale about how childhood roles can calcify in adulthood, with older siblings often unconsciously maintaining positions of authority long after they're developmentally appropriate. Looking ahead, the big question isn't just whether Kim and Khloé will reconcile. It's whether this marks a permanent shift in the Kardashian family power structure. Will Khloé's willingness to confront the status quo inspire other siblings to voice long-suppressed grievances? Could this be the catalyst that finally forces the family to address the unspoken hierarchies and resentments that have shaped their relationships for decades? One thing is certain. The carefully constructed facade of perfect sisterly harmony has been cracked, and what emerges from this rupture could redefine the Kardashian dynasty for years to come. In the end, this feud transcends celebrity gossip. It's a Shakespearean drama about power, family, and identity playing out in real time. The Joshua Tree confrontation may go down in history as the moment the Kardashians stopped being just reality stars and became fully realized, flawed human beings grappling with the same issues that plague families everywhere. The only difference? Their growing pains are broadcast to millions, their every misstep monetized, their healing process, should they choose to engage in one, documented for public consumption. Whether this leads to genuine growth or further fracture remains to be seen, but one truth has been laid bare. No amount of money, fame, or carefully filtered Instagram posts can immunize a family from the messy, painful, beautiful work of loving each other through conflict.